You know, this is really not funny anymore, and I'm curious to see how some of you die-hard DCEU fans will defend this latest development. Some of you are really trying. The old, oh, nobody liked Heath Ledger when he was first cast, right? I'm seeing that all over the place when it comes to defending Kristen Wiig, and it's like, I think this is more of an Alden Ehrenreich situation. It's just a bad idea. Not everything's going to turn out the way Heath Ledger did. That's what made Heath Ledger such a special scenario. But I don't even know what could possibly be thought here. So, as you can see, Warner Brothers has hired Ava DuVernay to direct a New Gods movie. And I like the idea of a New Gods movie. We're going to talk about that. But first off, why would Warner Brothers hire someone who directed one of Disney's few flops, by the way, to not only join their much beleaguered DCEU, right? Like, the DCEU can't take any risks right now on story or talent, but to give her a property that's not just difficult on its own, the New Gods, but one that shares a lot of similarities to the story depicted in A Wrinkle in Time, which she proved to be incapable of handling. It's like, I really love how you torpedoed that one, that classic story, Ava. I have got another classic for you. You think you can run this one into the ground just as well? I mean, is Oprah going to be a new god? I could actually see that. That would actually be the only good thing that Ava DuVernay would bring to this. I'm shocked. And I heard some behind the scenes things about A Wrinkle in Time. The movie, like, there was no saving it. It was really bad. This isn't like, oh, poor Ava DuVernay. It's all her fault, okay? So why are we doing a New Gods movie, right? Because we didn't really establish Darkseid, and the New Gods are the flip side of Darkseid's Apokolips. So it's like a yin and yang situation. Or is it? That's where things get really interesting. Is it really that clear cut? Apokolips bad, New Genesis good? Of course not. It's a more sophisticated story than that. But I don't know why you would expand a world that you have consistently not touched upon. I guess they're like, hey, Marvel got away with it. They've only been teasing Thanos for like six years, and they're fine. He's come out of nowhere. He's come out of the space stone all of a sudden to go and do something. So why can't we do it? And I'd be like, well, I guess you got me there, right? Now, what's interesting here is the Bible style. This is the best story to come out of Apokolips versus New Genesis. They're neighboring planets. One looks like Olympus. We'll talk about Wonder Woman. And one looks like a big giant apocalyptic fire planet. Okay, and you've seen hints at Apokolips from the movies themselves because they keep teasing it. And if you're familiar with animation at all, you're more familiar with Apokolips than you are with New Genesis. So the two leaders of these planets decide that to try and have peace, or at least a truce between the two planets, the two people, they're both like kind of gods basically, they're going to swap sons and raise them as their own. So Darkseid's son Orion goes to New Genesis, and then Highfather's son Scott Free, aka Mr Miracle, goes to Apokolips. And these are two really interesting characters. Like, if I were an agent or a manager or an actor, I'd be like, oh, I hate this idea so much of Ava DuVernay directing it, but as soon as they start casting these roles, let me know. Let's see how bad it is. Now, for instance, Orion recently showed up in the New 52 as a romantic interest for Wonder Woman, and I thought that was really good because, Wonder Woman's so regal, and Orion, let's just say when he gets angry, he shows some of his father's tendencies, and I thought their dynamic was really interesting. And then also, there's a great Mr. Miracle comic right now that if you're not reading, you should be, from the guy who wrote Vision over at Marvel and did such a good job. DC stole him, and now he's not only writing Batman, he's getting Batman and Catwoman married, but he writes this Mr. Miracle comic, and it's very good. It's a little bit like the Vision comic, so it's not totally unique, but it's okay because it's so good. I'll forgive it. Now, the New Gods in relation to Wonder Woman's old gods, I always found a particularly interesting idea when it was introduced in the New 52. I thought that was a really good correlation. It's the most interesting thing that anyone's done with this storyline in a long time. And since, right? I mean, this is not a really hot property, but I can see it worth possibly exploring, and that this can be the Guardians of the Galaxy for the DCEU, and then eventually you send the Justice League out there. I think that could be really cool. But you know what? I would take a Blade Runner style approach to this than an agenda-driven, touchy-feely approach that seems to be Ava DuVernay's specialty. So I continue to be really torn. I kind of like some of the instincts, but you know what? I'd be like, hey, Warner Brothers, why do you think Ava DuVernay is available? Why do you think Disney hasn't locked her up going forward? I'll tell you why. They're glad to be rid of her. Why did you take her? So And the movie did not do well at the box office. I'm just really surprised. All right, write your thoughts down below. And if you're going to defend it, I'm curious to see what your approach is. Okay, thanks so much for tuning in. And you can check out some more episodes right now.